So when we're solving equations, there's only one rule, and that is you have to do the same thing to each side of the equal sign. It's like a seesaw. You need to keep it balanced. And the aim is to get a letter, positive version of the letter by itself. So this question here, I've done the build 2x minus 3 equal sign, and on this side of the equal sign, there's 5. So you don't need help with this. We know that the first step to do is to add 3 to each side. I do want to think things through with the kit so that when we get to the hard stuff, you'll have the kit to help you. And so to get rid of those 3 reds, I need to add 3 greens to each side. I followed the rule of doing the same thing to each side. 3 take 3, they cancel. And so we are left with 2x on this side of the equal sign and 8 on this side. Now we want to get 1x. We don't want to know about 2x's. We want to know what 1x is. So this is sort of like one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. So we're sharing, which is dividing. So to get, this is actually a 2 lots of x. So the opposite to a 2 times is a divide 2 to each side. So what I'm doing is I'm splitting each side into 2 separate equal piles, and one of those piles is x equals 4. So we've got the x by itself. That means we've finished the question and we have solved the equation. Example 2, we've got 2 of the negative x's, so take 2x equals 5. And there's a variety of ways of doing this. I'll do the usual way first. So long as we do the same thing to each side, that's okay. We want it to be helpful though. So if I take 3 from each side, that will get rid of some of the stuff, and at least we've got the x's by itself then. So I took 3 from that side of the equal sign, and I took 3 from that side of the equal sign, and this working is really important. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to be getting full marks in a test, and you're not going to be able to cope with the harder questions. You might be able to figure out what number belongs there, x is 1 or negative 1 or whatever it is, but you've got to have this systematic working so that when the questions get harder, the structure is already in place. Okay, so I took 3 from each side, so they've gone away. I'm left with negative 2x, and 5 take 3 is 2. Now, the traditional way of doing this is like the previous question. That's really a negative 2 times x. So to get rid of a times negative 2, I need to divide negative 2. Okay, so that cancels. I'm left with x, and 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. So we've got the positive version of the x by itself, and that's the solution. Now with the kit, the way of doing this, and I started showing you this with the brackets, if I do the opposite to both sides, I'm allowed to do anything I like so long as I do the same thing to each side. If I change those 2 to the opposite version and those to the opposite version, I've done the same thing to each side. And so that breaks it down to two steps, but it will make things more helpful later on. So I'll just rewrite that. I changed the negative 2x equals 2 to the positive 2x equals negative 2, and then I can divide both sides by 2. So I'm sharing, and that gives me the x equals negative 1 that I got before. So the other way of doing this question is identifying that negative 2x is a problem, and we're going to have to deal with it eventually. And so dealing with a problem quickly is often a better way to go. So let's do to add 2x to each side first. We could take the 3 away first, but realizing that that's an issue. So those cancel, the 2x and the negative 2x cancel, and I'm left with 3 on this side of the equal sign and 2x plus 5 or 5 plus 2x, it doesn't matter what order they are in, on that side. And so now my aim is to get 1x by itself. So the next thing I can do to achieve that, I could perhaps take 3 off, but what we'd look at over here is we really need to take 5 off to get those x's by itself. So I'm taking 5 from each side, and they cancel. So plus 5 and minus 5 cancel. And I'm left with 2x there, and 3 greens and 3 reds cancel. 3 take 5 is negative 2 equals 2x. Oh, I should have left the 2 individuals on, because now I want to split into 2 equal groups, because I need to get that x by itself. So divide each side by 2 means that 1x is equal to negative 1. So I can just sort of zero in on that. We normally have the x on the left, so I can do that and rewrite it that way. That spinning of the sheet will be helpful in the new work that we'll be doing this year. Right, next question involves fractions. So x over 2 plus 3 on this side of the equal sign and 6 on that side. Obvious, easy first step is to take 3 from each side. Working is critical. We are less interested in the answer than we are in how you got the answer that shows your thinking. Okay, now we don't want to know what half an x is, we want to know what a full x is. So to achieve that, I need 2 halves. So what I'm going to do is to add the same thing to each side, because that's the only thing I'm allowed to do. But I'm choosing, so by definition, those 2 things are equal. So I'm adding the same thing to each side. So I've just doubled what was there. So I'm timesing each side by 2, and that gives me 2 halves. So those 2 bits go together to make a full x. And on the right-hand side, we've got 6. Okay, so what's happening here is because x is divided into 2 pieces, that's fractions and divides are the same thing. So to get rid of that divide 2, we need to times 2 each side, and then that sort of cancels and leaves us with the x. And the last question before you do the worksheet, another fraction question, but this one's got a negative x involved. So there's the build, 3 take a quarter x equals 5. And so it doesn't matter what order you deal with things, but let's clear away some of the stuff. So that's a quick take 3 from each side. And that leaves me with, so that's what I've done, that leaves me with what's on the sheet there, negative x over 4 and a 2. Now, we've got 2 issues to deal with, the negative and the fact that it's only a quarter x. If I quadruple up, I think that's the right word, so I need 4 of everything. So if I'm adding 3 more of the same thing to each side. So what I've just done is I've dealt with this by timesing both sides by 4, so that what I've now got, that's cancelled, I've now got a full x that will go together and make a full negative x. So I might just make that a little bit simpler. So those 4 negative x's go together to make 1. And then, like we did with the negatives before, I can just change that to the opposite, and I can change that to the opposite. So instead of 8 greens, I've got 8 reds. And that is, when we change to the opposite, what we're doing is we're either multiplying or dividing by negative 1. Okay, so negative times a negative is a positive, positive times a negative is a negative. And it doesn't matter when you're dealing with one, it doesn't matter if you're timesing or dividing, it's the same outcome. And again, that strategy is going to be important later on. However, if the question sheet that you're going to be doing, it might want you to do those 2 steps in one. So you need to get rid of that divide 4, you need to times 4 each side. And to get rid of that negative, you need to times by negative 4. So that's fine. You can do that. The negative cancels. You can do that, but I want you to realise that it's sort of 2 steps in one, which is going to be critical, doing just one bit at a time in the harder questions later on.